Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, Global Strategist at Yuanta Securities. Mr. Yu, good afternoon. Thank you for making time on this Friday.
Good afternoon.
Well, let's start on Wall Street, where there was a big rally overnight, a comeback from a decline in the morning, somewhat strangely since inflation came in higher than expected, which would seem to cement the case for the Fed raising interest rates again next month. The Dow ended up with a gain of 2.8, the S&P 2.6, and the Nasdaq 2.25%. What's behind this big bounce back?
Yes, we saw significant volatility in U.S. market. At the beginning of the market yesterday, we saw Nasdaq going down by as much as 3% plus, but has ended with rising by 2.23%. So the swing had been from the bottom to top more than 5% yesterday. If you look at the CPI numbers, the U.S. inflation numbers, it came in at less than expected, and because of that, we saw 8.2% year-on-year growth rate, and also the core CPI number came in at 6.6%, which is sharply rising from 6.3% the previous month. So clearly, people are quite uncertain about what's happening to the inflation numbers, and also Fed's continuation of hiking interest rate. The speed of that, people are wondering that it might not slow down anytime soon. So that all caused the uncertainties and the heavy drop of the Nasdaq as well as the interest rate sensitive growth stocks. But during the day, we saw a significant recovery. Main reason for that is because I think that people are thinking that the expected level of the peak interest rate environment is not going to be more than 5%. It's going to be probably what Fed has suggested, which is anywhere between 4.75 to 5%. If that is the case, a lot of the negativity is already priced in. That's what people are wondering. And gradually we are expecting a lot of the cost push inflation and demand pull inflation will be stabilizing sometime in the first quarter of next year. By the second quarter, people are expecting that interest rate hike will be stopped, and therefore there might be about pivot of that, meaning that maybe towards the second half of next year, possibility of interest rate cut might be happening, depending on what's happening to the economic conditions. All being said that, we saw European market recover as well. We saw Asian market also recovering quite significantly today. All seems to be on the sectors that showed significant decline in the last 2 weeks. So beaten down sectors and beaten down stocks were the strongest recovery stocks yesterday.
Well, here in Korea, the KOSPI with a similar gain in that range like Wall Street, even bigger though on the KOSDAQ. It looks like some profit taking by retail investors, continued strong buying though by foreigners and institutions. Shares of tech giants Naver and Kakao with some big gains. What's the story in Korean stocks?
Yes, as you said, we saw KOSPI showing 2.3% rise today, and KOSDAQ showed more than 4% rise. Foreign investors are coming back quite aggressively. They bought about 260 billion won worth of KOSPI and 184 billion won worth of KOSDAQ, and also they bought 285 billion in the futures. So add all that up, that's almost 0.8 trillion won worth of net buying. So clearly, foreign investors are coming back. Main reason for that is because maybe the currency has topped. We are seeing currency coming down by about 5 won to dollar to 14.34. If you look at the interest, clearly the bio sector has been one of the best sector to perform today. But not just that, we saw any export-related sector showed a significant rise because we've seen quite significant decline in the past. But as far as semiconductor industry is concerned, we've been seeing SK Hynix and Samsung Electronics stable in terms of share price movement even in the past 2 weeks or so. So clearly this is indicating that maybe the bottom has been reached for Korea. Both on the currency side as well as index side. If that's the case, there's a possibility that the Korean market can rise to the fair value territories. Fair value territory would be well above 2,300 territory. So right now it's at 2,200. We expect the probably Korean market to further improve in the future on back of won appreciation and also very strong export price increases in export numbers that we're seeing due to the weak currencies.
Well, now looking at oil for a minute, prices are up for the first time in 4 trading days. News that the U.S. is low on diesel inventories ahead of winter and the dollar coming down a little bit. What's happening with oil prices and what's your outlook?
Yes, if we look at the oil prices, last week we saw quite a bit of a jump in oil prices because OPEC Plus have decided to reduce the production by 2 million barrels per day. That caused the supply concern, and therefore we saw oil price rise. But after that, we saw basically this week falling quite a bit by 4% from the peak. Right now it is trading at WTI basis. It's about $89 per barrel and falling below $90 again. Main reason for that is because we know that there's continuation of slowdown in terms of demand due to the global economic recession possibilities. And also in terms of the production cut, in terms of the actual quota versus actual production, we had a quite significant gap. So therefore, the quota declining by 2 million barrel per day is not going to make the supply side to shrink. We think the supply is going to continue to rise. So if that's the case, supply and demand would mean that oil price is expected to stabilize or fall even further. More normalized level of the energy prices in terms of WTI, we think that it should be around $80 or so. So I think there is some more room for the oil price to go down gradually. But of course, we have to see what happens to other type of energy, alternative energy supply increases, and also what's happening to the economic conditions. If the people are saying that next year we will enter the economic recession, we think that the oil price is probably headed for further down rather than going up.
Got it. All right, Mr. Yu, we'll have to leave it there for today. Thank you as always for coming on the program and have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.